I'd like to call the Kent County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. And Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Yeah.
Commissioner Bonk.
Here.
Warfield.
Present.
Rolls.
Here.
Parrish. Here. Tanis.
Present.
Hiddema.
Here.
Bulema.
Here.
Voorhees.
Present.
Morin.
Here.
Agee.
Here.
Mast.
Here.
Vandermolen.
Here.
Hennessy. Here. Bulkowski.
Here.
Mayhew.
Here.
Vaughn.
Here.
Dillon. Klein. Here. Chair.
Here. We're going to move on to the invocation. I call on Commissioner Hennessy and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
From a reading created by Brother David Steindow Rast. You, the one from whom on different paths all of us have come, to whom on different paths all of us are going. Make strong in our hearts that which unites us. Build bridges across all that divides us. United, make us rejoice in our diversity, at one in our witness to your peace, in full spectrum of your glory. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Hennessy. We're going to open the floor up to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the commission this morning? Step right up to the podium and state your name and address. There's a 5-minute limit.
Yes. Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Carol Payne McGovern, and I'm Chair of the Kent County Family and Children's Coordinating Council, and Jack Greenfield is Vice Chair of the Coordinating Council. And we just wanted to come today to offer our sincere thanks to Commissioners Bulema, Klein, and Mast for their years of service to the citizens of Kent County, especially in relation to the work that we have done with the commissioners in working with family and children's issues in Kent County, their tireless commitment, their passion for children, for families in this county is unheralded. And the work that they did on securing the funds for the prevention initiative will continue a legacy for many years to come. But just want to say on behalf of the Coordinating Council, our sincere thanks. We look forward to working with all three of you in other capacities and wish you all the best.
They've done a tremendous job in the area of promoting recovery within our community, and all three should be just tremendously congratulated, and it's very appreciative. Our community is much better for all the work that you've done, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol and Jack. Is there anyone else in the audience? Commissioner Klein would like to address the commission this morning.
Good morning. I have a proclamation for Nick Enns from Catholic Central. If you'd come on up. You can bring your parents if you want. No.
the camera show.
The quarterback.
Mine are still young enough that they'll let us come up with them, but okay. Okay, this is a proclamation by the Kent County Board of Commissioners. Whereas the Catholic Central High School Cougars completed a highly successful 2008 football season, advancing all the way to the state finals, and whereas junior Nick Enns guided the fierce Cougars with great skill from the all-important quarterback position, and whereas the gunslinging Enns can attribute much of his success to his strong work ethic, and whereas Nick Enns's hard work paid big dividends throughout the year, as the old State of Michigan high school record of 34 touchdown passes in a single season was smashed by Nick as he fired 46 pointers through the air, 20 of which went to his favorite wideout Michael Penny, as well as obliterating the school record for yards passing in a single season with 2,489 yards. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kent County Board of Commissioners does hereby congratulate quarterback Nick Enns and the entire Cougar Nation on a great 2008 season, and wishes he and his valued teammates an even greater season as seniors in 2009. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Nick and Bella. I don't know if he's a Grand Valley recruit or not, but I'm obviously going to let Coach Martin know about this kid if he doesn't already know about him.
He does.
Is there any other public comment? Seeing none, we're going to move on to our consent agenda. I call on Commissioner Hennessy.
I move that we adopt the consent agenda.
Support.
Have a motion and support. Is there anything a commissioner would like to remove from the consent agenda? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Vonk,
Yes.
Wafield,
Yes.
Rolls,
Yes.
Parrish,
Yes?
Tanis,
Yes.
Hiddema,
Yes.
Bulema,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Ag,
Yes.
Mast,
Yes.
Vandermolen,
Yes.
Hennessy,
Yes.
Bulkowski,
Yes.
Mayhew,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Dillon,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Chair.
Yes, that carries. We're going to move on to resolutions. I call on Commissioner Parrish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for Resolution Number 12-1108-122 to increase the size of the road commission from 3 to 5.
Support. We have a motion and support. Any discussion? Commissioner Klein.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a quick question. I know budgeting's been a concern. I just want to make sure that, I know it's not a huge amount of money, but I just want to make sure that having 2 more road commissioners is not going to be detrimental to the budget. Is there?
John Rice, or
We
I
have-
saw John Rice here, I saw Dave Grunley here.
Dave Grunleer is in the audience. Dave, can you address that question?
Yes,
Can you step to the podium, Dave, so we can get you on TV?
Why donuts?
Yeah.
Appreciate your recognizing me. The board has, its revenues have been flat and decreasing in the recent years. We just looked at the '09 budget, which started in November. And we're down a number of employees, so anything, we are doing everything we can to keep the cost down. So this will be a cost increase, but if it's your decision, we'll handle it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave. Any other comments? Commissioner Bulema.
Chair, if I may, please, I do support the resolution. I think it's appropriate that we bump the number up to 5. It does create for greater diversity as far as representation is concerned, and I also believe that it creates for better representation from a wider part of the county. I think it's very important that the Board of Commissioners recognizes this when the appointments are up, that all portions of the county are properly represented on this board.
Commissioner Parrish.
Thank you. I really appreciate the work that was done by this committee, by Commissioner Ag and Commissioner Moran. This probably isn't the easiest issue, but I think it's really important that we have greater citizen representation. We really did review a lot of information from the other 19 counties that have already expanded according to the state law, and we did speak to many township supervisors and the road commission itself, and they were certainly not unanimous in our support of expanding the board. But that said, I think it really is important. The more citizen representation that we get, the more people that are involved in government and understand how government works, and I think that's very important. The burden is on us, though, to ensure that the board is diverse and represents all aspects of the county.
Any other comments? Commissioner Mayhew.
Yeah, I just want to echo the 2 comments that have been made by Commissioner Bowman and my colleague here to the left. It is important that we have diversity. It is important that we even have transparency, but it's important to have diversity, and I think that we're definitely going in the right direction with this, and it's a matter of accountability to our citizens and the people that we represent.
Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think I brought it up a little bit before. I do appreciate the work of our Road Commission and its board, but we get every month a copy of the minutes of the board, and it's, you know, I do believe in a healthy fund balance, but here we have in July of 2008, we have like a $14 million fund balance a year ago. This year, we got like 17 million. I've seen, usually it's a good from 3 to more than 1 million more than the year before during tight times. And I want to say that that's to good management, but I also want to make sure that we have representation that these funds get to the needs on our roads, and that's my concern. So I will vote in support of expanding the board.
Any other comments? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Vaughn,
Yes.
Wallfield,
Yes.
Rolls,
No.
Parrish,
Yes?
Tanis,
Yes.
Hiddema,
Yes.
Bulema,
Yes.
Voorhees,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Agee,
Yes.
Mast,
No.
Vandermolen,
No.
Hennessy,
Yes.
Bulkowski,
Yes.
Mayhew,
Yes.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Dillon,
Yes.
Klein,
No.
Chair.
No. That carries. We're going to move on to Resolution 123, and I call on Commissioner Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move resolution number 123, dissolve Millennium Park Community Committee, Board of Commissioners.
Support.
I have a motion to support. Any discussion?
Yeah.
I'll get to you. Hang on.
Sorry.
I'm going to start on the left side this time, okay?
That's fine with
All right,
me, man. Mr. Ray.
Commissioner Klein.
Anyway, I am one of the commissioner members of this committee, and we haven't done anything for, I mean, we've had like 2 or 3 meetings the whole time this committee has been in existence. And we did have a chance to look at the master plan. We did talk about the Millennium Park fees. So I think at this point, I don't think we've done anything in this past 2 years, and I think it's frustrating for citizens who get appointed to committees who don't understand completely how government works. We ask them to help us out, and then we don't do anything with them. We don't have any contact with them. We don't give them anything to do. I think that's a bad example for us as a board to do that to the citizens that we ask to help us. So I would encourage everyone to vote to dissolve this committee at this point, and I would also encourage next year's board to seriously consider having an overall Parks Committee to look at all the parks. I know Millennium Park is considered our jewel, but we need to really make sure all of our parks are nice and get the same attention as Millennium Park. So I would urge the next year's board to look at that, and I understand a subcommittee will most likely be appointed, and I think that's a good path to follow.
There you go. Commissioner Bulkowski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To follow Commissioner Klein's comments, I'm curious as to why this committee failed in the sense that we're dissolving or disbanding it. I know it was put together a couple years ago when Commissioner Moran was chair, and I believe it was then, when we were having discussion about the fees for Millennium Park. Now, I was adamant at the time that I didn't feel there was enough input on that fact, and we pulled this committee together, I think at that time, to help kind of bring others to the table to ease the tension around that particular issue, but just to talk about parks in general. And I believe at the time, too, there was a commitment to even consider a general parks commission for the county. But again, I'm curious as to so we don't go down this road again. Where did we fail?
Well, I don't know if the committee failed, Commissioner Bulkowski. I think that the committee was charged with the master plan, the redevelopment of the master plan for Millennium Park, and their work is mostly done.
Okay.
And I think that they were brought together so we could have good community, broad-based community input into the redevelopment of the master plan for the park. And that was presented a couple of years ago. So for the most part, I would probably say that the committee's work is done.
Sure. But did they weigh in on the amphitheater? Did you guys?
We talked about the fee.
No, the amphitheater.
Oh, amphitheater, no. But I think that's something that a general parks committee could do, and I'm not sure, given the fiscal nature of
Sure.
everything, that's even really.
There was a spot for the amphitheater, I think, in the master plan, Commissioner Bulkowski,
Sure.
and that was adopted by this committee. Does that answer your question?
Sorta.
Oh, sort of. What am I
Well,
leaving
I'm
out,
good.
I guess?
I'm good, Roger, thanks.
Commissioner Moore.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a little historical perspective. That committee was put together far before the ticket price and attendance and all this stuff came into play. It was in the wild and woolly days of Millennium Park when essentially we have a project and there's really no systems to put it together. And we started at least an architectural committee to make sure that what was designed out there was done well. And then as it took on its life of its own, you know, how can we get more community involvement and diversity to help, again, with the master plan and some of those sorts of things. So I think at that time was the intent of it, but well before ticket prices, attendance, these sorts of things. So I think it was to try to recognize at that time that we have a big asset here for the community and going to become bigger, and at least an attempt to make it better. And I'm in support of this. Quite frankly, I'm supportive of bringing better structure not only to this park but to the whole system. So I actually think this is I'm not sure it necessarily failed either, but I do think it would be better to have a more formal committee overseeing the whole system.
33 parks. Commissioner Mayhew.
Yeah, I had a person that I had nominated to this particular committee, and one of the complaints that she always talked about is that when they did meet, that there was no authority. They didn't feel like they had any authority to do anything. You know, second part is, did we as a county send letters to this group notifying them of the fact that we're dissolving this particular board?
Mary Swanson can answer that question for
Okay.
you.
After the action at the legislative committee, letters were sent to all the members.
Okay.
So they received them. I had hoped they would receive them before it was reported in the paper, so we took care of that right away.
Thank you very much. So anyway, that's my comments, and also I appreciate past Chairman Moran's comments, because that was how this particular committee came into existence.
Any comments? Commissioner Mass.
I just want to point out, I guess I agree with this, but if we get a new Parks Commission going, a Parks Committee, make sure that it gets a diverse representation from all the cities, I think, because, and you know, a diverse group. That's very important, I think, because there are a lot more inner city people, I think, using the parks than even some of the out-county areas. So make sure it's a diverse committee.
Well, my view has always been that there's, what, 35 parks? It's 37 parks, and they all need to be represented, so. Any other comments?
Big committee.
No, not 37. But, any other comments?
No, sir.
Okay, this is a non-roll call vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. That carries. Thank you. We're going to move on, and I call on Commissioner Dillon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move Resolution 124.
Word. I have a motion and support. Any discussion?
I'm going to vote against it.
Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Vonk.
Yes.
Warfield.
Yes.
Rolls.
Yes.
Parrish.
Yes?
Tanis.
Yes.
Hiddema.
Yes.
Bulema.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Mast.
Yes.
Vandermolen.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Bukowski.
Yes.
Mayhew.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Dillon.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes, that carries. We're going to move on. I call on Commissioner Parrish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move for motion 125 to accept the negotiated labor agreement with the public health nurses.
I have a motion and support. Any discussion? Commissioner Mayhew.
Yeah, I just wanted to note that I'm going to change my vote, because in the committee I voted against this, and I have since rethought my position on this particular issue.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Vonk.
Yes.
Warfield.
Yes.
Rolls.
Yes.
Parrish.
Yes?
Tanis.
Yes.
Hiddema.
Yes.
Bulema.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Mast.
Yes.
Vandermolen.
Yes.
Hennessy. Bukowski.
Yes.
Mayhew.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Dillon.
Yes.
Klein. Yes. Chair.
Yes, that carries. We're going to move on. I call on Commissioner Hennessy.
I move the adoption of Resolution 12-1108-126.
Have a motion and support. Any discussion? Commissioner Hennessy.
I've moved this motion. When it was first brought up in Legislative Committee, there was sort of that moment of silence in terms of making the motion, so I did make it then. Ask questions. I still have, some questions and some observations about it. And I'm not sure that I voted against it in Legislative Committee, may do the same today. I noted that it was a year ago at this meeting where we did approve our management pay plan structure. And at that point, there was a study done that really evaluated and had the schedules. This is 300-some employees. We gave approximately a 3.1% raise a year ago. About 300 employees, all different ranges of salaries, all different ranges and classifications, and the study addressed all of that. I have some concerns on just sort of the overall. There's a little give and take again on this, as for the years and for the merit. But when you have a 3% raise on someone who's at the top of our salary scale and a 3% at the bottom, the person at the bottom doesn't get as much. I'm not sure that we're getting back to where, things might become unequal in terms of our classifications again. I have some reservations on that. I also have reservations. A year ago, it was going to cost, it was in the budget. It's in the budget now. But, $660,000, which was a lot a year ago. It remains a lot this year. And I'm wondering if that kind of overall increase is worth it. Every time we meet, we're facing, sort of doomsday types of things. Watch this budget. If you think this year's bad, watch for, 2010. Watch for 2011. And so I'm wondering if it's worth giving people, 3% now when it may mean their job in a year or two. And so I have some real doubts and questions about, about the total amount, the fairness of the application.
Mr. Clack can address some of your...
And I do, and this is not meant to be. I really do appreciate the work you do.
Well, first of all, if I heard your comments correctly, this is not a 3% across the board. And as you mentioned, people that are higher in the range would be getting 3%. If they were at the highest performance rating level, they could get that. Most of the people are not at that level. So the distribution of that 3% would be the individuals who have the highest performance ratings and are the lowest in the range would get the largest increases. Those people who are the highest in the range would get smaller increases. What's proposed here actually results in an adjustment to our ranges of 2%. And somebody who's high in the range and performing high may get that 2% or in that area. Did that answer that question?
Commissioner Klein.
How much, we have how many labor unions, 16, 17?
13 bargaining units.
And how much over this past year has their percentage increase cost the county, across approximately, if you know?
Well, in dollars, the budget, the way it's structured, bargaining units have step increases.
Correct.
Okay,
no matter
so
what, even if they
they're
have
time-based step
performance.
increases. They're contractually negotiated. They've been there for years. So when we look at what I propose to you for a bargaining agreement is to adjust the structure, okay? In addition to that, what the county has to budget for is not only what we've changed the structure, but also those step increases. For example, the nurses that we just ratified, they have an average step increase of about 4.5% in that area, and about a third of those individuals will be getting step increases, so the budget impact would be approximately an additional 1.4% or so. So that cost would be, for the first year there, is 3.4% to the budget.
Okay, but how many thousands of dollars just for like the nurses is that going to cost us, if you know? I mean, all 13 bargaining units is going to cost more than $660,000. Is that a correct assumption?
That's to the range adjustments. I'm not sure what Bob put in the budget for.
Okay. I just want to say basically, the MPP plan is based on performance, and labor union negotiations and are based, they get a step increase no matter what. They can be doing a bad job, they still get a step increase. When I worked in the prosecutor's office many years ago, we got a step increase no matter what. We could be performing horrible and we'd still get our step increase. So I think in all fairness, you know, if we're talking fairness, we're not even looking at the labor agreement performance, we're just giving them an across-the-board negotiated percentage raise, and that's how labor union works. So I think that we really shouldn't be criticizing raises for management who have to prove their worth in order to get the raises. So I think this resolution should be passed.
Commissioner Dillon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a couple questions for Don, and maybe just a couple observations. And just a correction for Commissioner Klein, too. We're not giving the raises to the bargaining units. That's called collective bargaining. They worked with our Human Resources Department to negotiate a contract. So, but be that as it may, is it true that, do we have anything in the standing rules that prohibits us from doing the management pay increases any way other than annually? We can't do it for a 2-year or 3-year period? Because that was one of the questions I had in the legislative committee, is I think it would be, you know, we're looking at with the nurses and the captains and lieutenants contracts, we're talking about 1.5 one year, 2% the next year, maybe 2.5, so it spreads it out a little more evenly. And with the management contracts that we're approving, or the pay increases, we're coming back every year, and I think what Commissioner Hennessy was trying to say is if we spread out the increase over a 2 to 3 year period, it might be easier to number one, budget for, and maybe have some more direction for the board to be able to see what we're doing. But are we not able to do that, or?
I don't believe, and I wouldn't know for sure. I don't believe
Nothing
anything
in the
would.
standing rules that would address that. I hate to say it, I'll say it though. I hate this phrase, but we've always done it that way.
Okay.
I don't know that that's the appropriate rationale, but labor agreements have historically been multi-year agreements. In any organization I've been in, the non-union, those who are not represented by collective bargaining units, it's always been on an annual basis.
And just a quick follow-up, I just want to, I mean, I think Commissioner Moran said this at the Legislative Committee. I've learned a lot from him in the last 2 years about our workers in the public sector versus the private sector. And sometimes, you know, when times are good, our public sector employees don't get the raises that their counterparts in the private sector do. And when times are bad, we're giving a raise here, obviously. And that's why I think in the future, if we could look at doing these on a maybe a biannual basis or a 3-year period, so they're consistent with what we're doing with the bargaining units, I think it just might help, so that we're not coming back every year, and one year we give a 3% increase, and the next year we come back and say, wait a second, we can't give anything this year, or we have to cut. So those have been my comments, and I appreciate the work you do, though, too.
Prolonged bad cycle here in the state of Michigan for about 8 years.
Right.
So, Commissioner Moran.
Yeah, I too am very concerned about, you know, increases in light of what's going on in the general economy as a rule. But all that being said, I think, and I voted for this because I think that the department has done a great job in trying to flesh out savings in the health and dental plans, which I think is great. And also, it's not necessarily a 3% increase. And from my understanding, upon further conversations, that the analysis with where they're at with other industries or governmental units was really before the October, September financial type crash that we had. So the information that they were using was even older than that. So, and if we redid it today, the numbers would probably be different. But I have been convinced by both Don and Darrell that 3% is unlikely, and it's probably something far smaller than that. It's a maximum of 3% per person, not a total of that amount. And my understanding is, again, in light of the economy, that'll all be taken into consideration as well.
Commissioner Mast.
I guess just following along with what Commissioner Moran is saying, I'm going to vote against this. I think it's a matter of perception. We could say this is let's make it 2.5%. the people could still be eligible based on merit to get anywhere from 0 to probably 5%. I mean, we're basically setting a budget figure here, as I understand it. And I think perception, we've just passed labor agreements that say 2.5%. You're saying, well, actually, they end up more. I don't buy the argument that public employees are not well paid or aren't competitive with private industry. I think they are. I've worked my entire career in nonprofit organizations. We don't give these types of raises to nonprofits, particularly the last couple of years. Now, some private companies do, but there's been a lot of layoffs. And I can't go back to my constituents and say, we're going to pass a 3% pay increase when all of those have lost their jobs or haven't had any increase for a couple of years. And I know it's necessary to pay public employees well and competitively, but I think we are. I think county employment is still a plum. People are going to still respond. People are going to still apply. We're not going to lose people by saying 2.5% versus 3%. And I'd much rather go back to that. So I'm going to vote against it.
Commissioner Hiddema.
I'm a rather conservative fiscal man. Through the years, I questioned why people would spend hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for parkland and then quibble about paying our employees.
Something to think about.
How do you answer that?
Vice Chair Vandermolen.
Thank you. I want to go back to Nadine's question about, how much. Well, and Harold, when we're talking about up to 3% for the management pay plan, you just voted for the nurses, and you know that's probably more than 3%, even though on average it's 2.5 and 2.5, and now if you add the step increase, which is an increase in wages, I see something inconsistent in your logic there, and I'm going to vote for this, but to say that that our management pay plan is 3% and that our other union negotiations are only, whatever they say here, 2%, 2.5, it's far more than that, and we all know that. When we start adding step increases into the salary package, in a lot of cases, as Nadine suggested, for no more good reason than I've been there another year, I get an automatic increase. And on top of that, by the way, I want another 2.5 or 3%. So we got a little conundrum here, folks. If we're going to pay our union employees well, and I think they're being paid well, I think to not do this with the management pay plan is a really big mistake.
Commissioner Rolls.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The program for our MPP plan is a performance-based. It has a completely different structure than the bargaining units. It has completely different scales. The formula, therefore, is completely different. I have spent a lot of time reviewing this and checking out the numbers. I think Director Clack and our HR department has done a very, very, very good job of trying to level the playing field and make this as equal as possible. And I will point out that oftentimes our MPP folks are the folks on the leadership side of taking the changes within our HR department when that comes through. And so I think that this is actually a good plan. It's, I think, about as fair as they can possibly make it, and I think we should push this through.
Commissioner Mayhew.
In terms of step increases versus management pay plans, and you're talking about giving some of the union workers increases, and some of them might not be eligible, should be eligible for the increases. Even on the other side, the flip side, on the management side, we have people that are in management that we know, and sometimes in our closed sessions we talk about, that have not done what they're supposed to have done. And they are getting increases as well. And so this coin is a Damocles sword because it cuts both ways. And so I'm going to be voting against this as well in terms of public perception, because perception becomes reality. There are people out there that's out of jobs. There are people out there that don't have anybody to stand up for them. The union stands up for its folks, and they bargain stuff, and you're standing up for management. And so we're here at the breach right now where we can say yes or no. And I think that we should turn this down.
Then we'll have 14 unions.
Anybody want to address this initially, and then Commissioner Agee?
Just a point of clarification, Don. Some employees who have been outstanding performers will get more than 3%?
That's correct.
And what is the top limit to that?
This is what I've been working on since the performance evaluations have been returned by department directors. That there are a few people that, with an adjustment to the range of 2% that I mentioned, would fall below actually the minimum of the range. Looks like they would probably get a maximum of 4.5 if they're in the highest performance rating, which is pretty unlikely. But the general range is from about, from 0 to 4%.
So there's some employees that will get 0?
Yes. And there will be some that will get less than the 2 that the structure was changed.
Commissioner Klein.
Thank you. The step increases are every 6 months. So just being here 6 months gets you the step increase. I voted for the labor agreements because they were negotiated, and that's how the system works. I just think it's fundamentally unfair and fundamentally inconsistent to say, okay, we're going to give our labor unions an increase, but we're not going to give our management an increase, even though they have to earn their increase by their performance, not by their negotiation through their labor union or their time on the job. So I think you either have to vote all 3 one way or all 3 the other way, and it just doesn't make sense to split your vote except just because you're doing it based on your political leanings as opposed to what is fundamentally fair.
Commissioner Moran.
Just in response to wages and competitive numbers, and I have no basis other than what I read and hear as to what's competitive or not, but I do know that our administrator and his staff are paid less than administrators and staffs of other organizations. For example, the Rapid, most university, small or larger universities and their staffs with probably smaller budgets than what ours does. So I'm not as concerned that we're overpaying people, and I think it's more of a fairness issue, and I think they've done a good job of that. And my last comment is, at our legislative committee, Commissioner Dillon offhandedly suggested that he forego his wage increase as a commissioner. I'd love to have the opportunity to vote on that, because in January I won't. But anyway.
Support and second, if you want to do it.
Commissioner Tanis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Having been involved in county government for 40-plus years, having been there on both sides, it's pretty rough on a supervisor when an employee is making more money than he is or she is. And I just think it's fair that the MPP people get their raises.
Commissioner Mast.
Well, but I guess some clarification. If we do something less than 3%, people are still going to get their raises. People are going to still be promoted based on merit. I think it's a matter of perception and what people are going to read in the newspaper. I would go for 2.5%, and I will make that motion that we revise this rather than 3%, make it 2.5%, so that the management pay plan still does have some increase in it, still does give some leniency within that for supervisors, but that's going to be much easier to stomach based on what we've just passed. So I would make a motion to modify that and vote 2.5%.
Support. Did I hear a support? We have a motion and support on the floor for 2.5%. Any discussion?
This is an amendment to the resolution,
This is an
or what?
amendment to the original resolution to take it from 3% to 2.5%. Commissioner Agee.
So Don, the net effect, if it was 2.5%, is the pie, per se, that you have to split the amount of money. It would be divided the same way. It's just that the pool of money would be smaller. Is that the impact of the amendment?
We built a matrix based on the quadrants of where people are in performance, so that would certainly limit the amount of merit pay for those who are lower in the pay range and higher performance, it would certainly limit that. I'm not exactly sure what that matrix would look like. I'd have to go back to the drawing board and redevelop the matrix.
But doesn't the matrix look the same no matter what, and it's just a different amount of money that
The
gets spread
scoring
across
across
it?
the top would look the same. The matrix is in percentages, so that would reduce the percentages. And yeah, I mean, it can be done. I'm not telling you that it can't. It would just be, I'd have to go back, and I couldn't tell you what that range would be. That 0 to 4 would certainly change, and the distribution of those raises would change. What we did was took the 3% budget, tried to build that for the total increase, okay? Tried to build that into the matrix, and actually what we build in comes out a little less than 3 right now, so I don't know exactly what it would look like.
Commissioner Parrish.
Just as a point of clarification, then, the people that would be most impacted are the lower pay, higher performing employees?
It would compress that matrix, because there's only, there is an adjustment to the range, and consistent with, for example, there were other counties that have been quoted in the press. They were making 2% adjustments to the range, and that's consistent with what I was intending to do. Yeah, I could lower that. I'm not sure if that would be appropriate, but I would, if I stay with that 2%, it would limit the amount of merit pay and certainly limit how much people who are lower in the range would get.
Commissioner Vaughn.
I'm not a knee reaction sort of guy, and I don't think we should just make decisions based on the economy because the wheels fell off over the last 90 days and start making decisions on short-term timing. This is a long-term business that we're in, and we need to make long-term decisions. And I think we do need to make the decisions that Marv was talking about, whether it be parks, from top to bottom on a budget coming up next year, but I don't really support any knee-jerk reactions. A few dollars here and a few dollars there isn't what's wrong with this budget of the county. So I think it's a top to bottom next year, and we need to look at it that way rather than these knee-jerk proposals.
Commissioner Mayhew.
I'd be inclined to vote against the amendment, because I think that the whole thing, we should vote against the whole thing. I mean, I'm for, because I think if you're making $150,000 a year right now, $180,000 a year right now, then that $180,000 tomorrow or next year is going to be a nice piece of money looking at what's happening in the economy right now. So if you're making $150,000, $180,000 right now, it's going to be fine. So so we should vote the amendment down because we don't need to vote for the whole thing. You need to vote the whole thing down.
The only person making 180, I think, is Daryl.
Well, then he'll probably get a 3%. He'll probably get a 3% increase, and then you got the public out there crying. That's here he is getting a 3% increase.
DeLabio.
Oh, DeLabio.
Not his brother, Daryl.
Oh, okay.
Daryl.
Same goal. Same goal.
Commissioner Rolls.
It strikes me, thank you, Mr. Chair, it strikes me as strange that the captains and lieutenants and the Teamsters for the nurses just flew through here without a comment, and they had 2.5s, and because this one has a 3, this one has a 3, all of a sudden it became, this major issue. Bottom line is the formula is different, the structure is different, the scale is different, it all works out at the end.
The
So let's
captains may have
not
a
get
3
hung
if
up
you
in the
look
2s
at
and
it.
1/2s and the 3s.
I call the question.
Support. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to call the question on the amendment. All those in favor? Is that a roll call, Madam Clerk, or?
You can go with the voice first. And
I'll go with the voice first. All those in favor of calling the question on the amendment, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. I think that carries. We're back to the original motion.
No, you got to vote.
That was just for calling the question.
Oh, calling the question. Okay, now call the question.
On the amendment.
On the
The
amendment.
vote on the amendment.
I'll get this, everybody. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Vonk,
No.
Wallfield, Rolls,
No.
Parrish,
No?
Tanis.
No.
Hiddema,
No.
Bulema,
No.
Voorhees,
No.
Moran,
No.
Agee,
No.
Mast,
Yes.
Vandermolen,
No.
Hennessy,
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Mayhew,
No.
Vaughn,
No.
Dillon,
Yes.
Klein,
No.
Chair.
No. So that fails. We're back to the original motion.
Call the question on that.
Support.
I have a motion and support to call the question. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Okay, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Vonk,
What was the question again?
on the MPP,
This is the resolution, the first one?
the original resolution.
Yes.
Wallfield, Rolls,
Yes.
Parrish,
Yes.
Tanis,
Yes.
Hiddema,
Yes.
Bulema,
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Agee,
Yeah.
Mast.
No.
Vandermolen,
Yes.
Hennessy,
No.
Bulkowski,
No.
Mayhew,
No.
Vaughn,
Yes.
Dillon,
No.
Klein,
Yes.
Wallfield.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes. That carries. Thank you. We're going to move on, and I'm going to call on Commissioner Tanis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 127, the amendment to the 911 service plan.
Support.
Have a motion to support. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please.
Sir.
Oh, I didn't see you. Sorry, Carol.
That's okay, I'm still,
Raise your hand a little higher.
I've got to put the thoughts together. I noticed when, in one of the previous materials we received, that there's going to be a more in-depth discussion in February, and, on 911, and this is more of a hope that we did that when we have that discussion, that we, get a reading on how much money we're actually receiving. When we passed it, we weren't exactly sure, because we, proprietary information of the phone companies. I also would hope you address, I brought my phone bill, and we approved the 45-cent charge, and then there's the state charge of the 19 cents, but then there's another 17-cent charge. And so I hope that, that the totality of how this is being billed to us and what the various elements mean can also, be explained. And it's interesting because the 17-cent charge doesn't appear on the cell phone bill. And so I thought it was supposed to all be equal. So, it may not be appropriate for right now, but these are, but the whole thing in talking about 911 and continuing to develop this service, it raises a lot of questions still.
If I may respond, Mr. Chair.
Certainly,
When
Commissioner.
when we have our
Tanis.
workshop in February, that will all be explained to you. We want to bring everybody right up to speed as to what's going on. Okay?
Good enough, thanks.
Any other discussion? This is not a roll call vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That carries. Thank you. We're going to move on. I call on Commissioner Vaughn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 128 to update the fiscal policy governing fund balance, fund equity, and fiscal services.
I have a motion and support. Any discussion? Seeing none, this is a non-roll call vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That carries. Thank you. We're going to move on. I call on Vice Chair Vandermolen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 129 dated today, which is our 2009 budget.
Support. I have a motion and support. Any discussion? Vice Chair Vandermolen.
Thank you. This has been a long process, not an easy process. I'd like to thank Bob and Darrell and the staff that helped work us through this. And if we think it was not an easy process this year, I suspect that we ought to strap ourselves into the seat, because next year is going to be tougher yet. And so, again, thank you to the staff. And this is our, as I said, the official budget for 2009.
Thank you, Vice Chair Vandermolen. Any other discussion? Commissioner Bulema.
Just by way of comment, following upon what Commissioner Vandermolen said, we do appreciate the services of our Administrator and Chief Financial Officer in guiding us through all of this. These are very critical times coming up, and the fact that we are still in very solid shape and speaks well to their competency and their loyalty to the county, and I think we owe them a debt of gratitude and keep these things going.
Duly noted. Any other comments? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Vonk.
Yes.
Warfield.
Yes.
Rolls.
Yes.
Parrish.
Yes.
Canis.
Yes.
Hiddema.
Yes.
Bulma.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Mast.
Yes.
Vandermolen.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Mayhew.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Dillon.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes, that carries. Thank you. We're going to move on. I call Commissioner Rolls.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move Resolution 130 for Purchase Development Rights Option Grant Application for the Budget Appropriation and Purchase Agreement.
Have a motion and support. Any discussion? Commissioner Tanis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will be abstaining from this vote as I have relatives that are listed here, so I'm going to abstain.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, this is a non-roll call vote, so all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That carries. Thank you. We're going to move on, and I call on Commissioner Voorhees.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would move the adoption of Resolution 12-1108, numbered 131, which is the Millennium Park land acquisition, the Anderson in the Parks Department.
I have a motion and support. Any discussion?
Discussion.
Okay, Commissioner discussion.
Thank
Commissioner
you,
Voorhees.
Mr. Chair. You know, with what's happening on the federal level with the bailouts and the incentives and all that, I tend to think all we're going to do is leave our children and grandchildren a big fat bill. I'm hoping here, and I believe it at the county, with our purchase of park lands, we can leave our generations to come a heritage of some good land to enjoy. They have access to this park land, and so I just hope you'll all support it, Mr. Hiddema included. Thank you.
Don't count on it.
Well, he's coming our way a little bit. Yeah, very slowly. So,
Just maybe.
Commissioner Klein.
All I can say is it wouldn't be a park vote if Commissioner Hiddema didn't vote no. So
Surprise you.
He may surprise you.
I know.
Commissioner Hiddema.
Well, I guess my comment is, I can stand the ridicule, it doesn't bother me. The part that disturbs me is how concerned we become about some dollars, and how little concern we have about other dollars. They're all dollars. I wish you'd remember that. And now we're buying land acquisition, which it says surrounded on 3 sides by the park already. That means it's sitting on the end. We want to buy that now, when real estate is about as slow as it can get, and we want to give them $100,000 for a piece of property they can't do anything else with anyway. And they get life leaks on their house. That's not a bad deal from their point of view. So I hope they thank you for Christmas, for the gift you gave them.
Christmas is coming early. Commissioner Wallfield, did you have a comment?
Just a little bit. If you've read far enough into the next motion, is our master plan, and I believe this is all in the master plan, if everybody read it a couple times. And so I just think it should move forward.
Okay, any other comments? I'm moving right along. I am. I'm going. I'm working through this whole agenda.
I'm getting impatient.
All right. This is a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, can you please call the roll?
Commissioner Vonk.
Yes.
Warfield.
Yes.
Rolls.
Yes.
Parrish.
Yes.
Canis.
Yes.
Hiddema.
No.
Bulma.
Yes.
Voorhees.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Agee.
Yes.
Mast.
Yes.
Vandermolen.
Yes.
Hennessy.
Yes.
Bulkowski.
Yes.
Mayhew.
Yes.
Vaughn.
Yes.
Dillon.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes, that carries. Thank you. We're going to move on rather quickly to Commissioner Wallfield.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to ask Marv to leave the room for a minute. But anyway, I move Resolution 132, Parks Department, the 2009 to 2013 Parks, Recreation, and Natural Areas Master Plan.
For have a motion and support. Any discussion?
All in the book.
Commissioner Bulkowski.
Well, thank you, Chair, and Commissioner Warfield, because it's not all in the book. There's one thing not in the book, and I want to go back to an earlier comment, I don't believe the Millennium Park Committee failed. I believe we failed them. And I think Commissioner Mayhew pointed that out in that they didn't feel they had authority to act on anything, perhaps. And in this book, in this master plan, there's no mention of any committee or commission to help govern and or make decisions for the parks. There is a very clear thing about volunteers, and I think it's awesome, because if you read in yesterday's paper about Ottawa County and the Ottawa County Parks Commission, one of the members there is both on the commission but as a volunteer, and they're doing tremendous things utilizing community volunteers to help maintain their park system. And that's written into this plan, which I think should be commended. But again, nothing in this plan about a committee or commission to help manage the system. And I'm wondering if we need to amend this plan in order to make that a priority of this current commission before we have some of our commissioners depart.
I believe that could be the charge of the new committee or commission, whatever we develop next year.
Right, and I get that sense, that commitment from this commission, and that's going to be the agenda moving forward. But again, I guess it's, well, maybe we can put Roger up and ask him, because his staff developed this plan, what his thoughts are about a committee or commission.
Roger. Commissioner.
Well, Roger's coming up. I think let's not forget our role as elected officials, that we set policy, and staff shouldn't be involved in their ideas on policy. And I think we're responsible for policy, and they implement it.
I think they're, regarding whether it's a committee or a commission, there may be a difference statutorily on how you operate. And Ottawa County has a park commission, and it operates statutorily differently than how Kent County operates. And that decision was made when the Parks Department moved from the Road Commission to the county. It wasn't part of the recommendation of this plan because we were operating basically as is, reporting to county admin and this county commission. I think if you talk to even the Park Commission at Ottawa County, whatever they do, whatever they decide that involves money, goes back to the county board in many cases. In terms of land acquisition, it goes back to the county board. If you looked at the City of Grand Rapids and their park committee, it is advisory just like the Millennium Park Committee was. They make a recommendation, and that's all it is. And so there's a broad spectrum on how you can choose to operate, which is up to this commission or the next commission.
Okay, thank you, Raj.
Just to follow up, again, I appreciate the work that's gone into this plan, and again, as I brought up at Finance Committee, our hands are kind of tied, because as this resolution begins, we're passing this so that we can receive funding from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. They need to see this master plan in place in order for us to receive the funding. I guess the question is, and going back to Commissioner Warren's comment, we are about policy and planning, and a document as important as this, at some point, maybe should have come before this commission for some discussion, maybe a work session, so we could have helped facilitate the policy and planning that's contained in this document. Because there's a lot of agenda in here that we didn't weigh in on, but we're saying this morning, it's okay, let's move forward. So that's just my comments. I support this because we need to, but again, I think there's some things we missed from this, and following up on Commissioner Wallfield's comment, it's not all in here. There's a couple of things missing. There's some great things in here, some great recommendations on how to move the system forward, but there's some things not in here. So with that, thank you.
Commissioner Wallfield.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I applaud Commissioner Bukowski for reading the book. And I wonder how many others did. But it's well put together, Raj. Congratulations on it.
Commissioner Mayhew.
Yeah, well, I applaud him too for reading the book. I know this particular time I didn't. But I think that, Commissioner Bukowski brings up a good point in terms of the policy that Commissioner Warren talked about. And I'm just wondering, is there room in between now and the actual document having to be where it is? Is there room in the interim so that somebody can meet and Commissioner Bukowski's comments and well-thought-out positions can be added to the pie as an addendum? Not saying that I want to slow this down right now, you know, by saying let's table it till then, but saying that is there room in the interim between now and the time you send this off to have Commissioner Bukowski's comments added in here?
In terms of the DNR process, we need to have they need to review the plan and approve it by March 1 in order to meet grant schedules. Beyond that, the plan can be amended at any time, and previous plans have been amended.
So I would recommend that, you know, that maybe if the chair and Mr. Bukowski could talk about maybe some amendments that he would think that would be appropriate to put in there. And seeing that we get to March, then we can.
It has to be approved by the DNR by March 1. So
what about our?
We need to give them lead time, which means we should get it into them in January, really.
In January?
Yeah.
I think we can move ahead with this plan and then with the idea of trying to incorporate some of the things that we have missed.
That sounds fair.
Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, isn't this a plan, a working document?
Yes.
You know, we can amend it tomorrow if we want to. It's
Amend it today.
Well, at the next meeting, but.
I was going to say, let's amend it
You know
today.
what I mean.
Commissioner Moore.
Yeah, I actually do really appreciate Commissioner Balkowski's concern. I think it is a policy decision. I think it's probably most appropriate that the next board sets the policy for this, not this board. So that would be my last comment.
Any other comments or discussion? Seeing none, this is a non-roll call vote. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. That carries. Thank you. We're on to reports. Are there any reports? Commissioner Mass.
I just want to give a final report of the drug discount card is now available. AAA of West Michigan has worked out an arrangement where they're getting the cards. I know the last time I talked with Jackie O'Connor, she's going to be the person in charge of that at AAA of West Michigan. I would encourage each of the board members to get a couple of those cards so they begin to use them and begin to know what they are and talk them up with their constituents. It's going to be hard for AAA to do a lot of marketing, and they're going to market them to a lot of their agencies that they interact with, but I think it's up to us to use it as well. So they're available. I think Deb Kaufman has some information about it, but otherwise check with AAA of West Michigan. Thank you.
Any other reports? All right, I'm going to move to the podium for the recognition of the departing commissioners. Well, good morning. In a sense, this is graduation day for many of our colleagues from the Kent County Board of Commissioners Academy. Some of our commissioners have been enrolled for 4 years, some for 34 years. It's taken to get through the academy. I won't mention any names, Fritz. But, we'll get this going. And Nadine, I'll start out with Nadine Klein. And I have a proclamation to read to Nadine. It says, Commissioner Nadine Klein was sworn into office as a Kent County Commissioner of District 19 on January 4, 2005, and will be leaving the Board of Commissioners at the expiration of her present term of office. During her tenure on the Kent County Board of Commissioners, Klein holds the distinction of serving on the Legislative and Human Resources Committee and has served as Vice Chair of the committee since 2006. For the past 4 years, Commissioner Klein has faithfully served her constituents and was dedicated to serving on various county boards, including the Community Mental Health Board, Public Works Board, the John Ball Zoo Advisory Board, the Grand Rapids Kent County Convention Arena Authority Liaison Committee, the Bargaining Benefits Subcommittee, and most recently the DHS Naming naming, honoring committee, to name a few. Commissioner Klein has dedicated their time and efforts to represent not only her constituents of her district, but the county as a whole, displaying tenacious, incisive, and active counsel in the affairs of the Kent County. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kent County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes Commissioner Klein's dedicated service, outstanding talents, and sincerity to the people and families of the Kent County community. Be it further resolved that we reluctantly bid Commissioner Klein farewell and wish her much happiness and success in all her future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a copy of this proclamation be given to Commissioner Klein as a small token of respect and admiration for which she is most deserving. And I have a parting gift for her. There you go. Next on the graduation list is Commissioner Mast. Commissioner Mast will be leaving the Board of Commissioners at the end of his present term of office. Commissioner Mast was sworn into office as a county commissioner for District 13, later changed to District 12 in 2003 on January 7, 1997. And in his 12 years of public service, Commissioner Mast served on both Legislative and Human Resources Committee as Vice Chair in 2001 and the Finance Fiscal Resources Committee. Commissioner Mast was also committed to serving on the various county boards throughout his tenure, including the Asset Board, Grand Valley Metropolitan Council Transportation Division Policy Committee, Area Agency on Aging of Region 8, the Board of Directors Community Mental Health Advisory Committee, Senior Millage Review Committee, Community Mental Health Authority Board, Prevention and Urban Sprawl Subcommittees, and most recently the Veterans Affairs Subcommittee. In addition to serving the citizens of Kent County, Commissioner Mast has been an active member of the Michigan Association of Counties, having served on the Health and Human Services Committee and the Board of Directors. This past summer, he was prestigiously elected to the MAC Board President. Now, therefore, it be resolved that the Kent County Board of Commissioners gratefully acknowledges and thanks Commissioner Mast for his 12 years of service in county government, for his devotion and his tirelessness given to the citizens of Kent County, especially his passion for seniors in the Kent County financial integrity. And further be resolved, we reluctantly bid Commissioner Mast farewell and wish him much happiness in his future successes. And then be it further resolved, a copy of this proclamation be given to Commissioner Mast to commemorate his years of service as commissioners to the citizens of Kent County. Commissioner Mast, you'd like to say a few words?
Thank you very much. Yeah, probably Nadine Klein needs to say something.
Yes.
I'm sad to leave, but I also, I guess, look back on 12 years of county commission service, elected service, and 14 years before that of city commission service, and I think can be very satisfied with the services I provided. I think the thing that I'm the most proud of is the senior millage, that I was a big part of getting started, and it's underway. Our county is envied by many counties. So. And I would encourage all of you to get more involved with MAC. MAC is our spokesperson. MAC is a tremendous organization. So get involved with it and try to bring forward an agenda. Thank you.
Got to offer the podium to Nadine, so I'm going to circle back.
I think it's because I'm a lawyer and he's afraid that a lawyer would just keep talking and talking and talking. I just wanted to say thank you so much to the staff. I think we have a fantastic staff at Kent County. I've always felt very comfortable with the information I've gotten, and if they don't have the information right away, they get it to me. And I've truly enjoyed my 4 years as a commissioner. It wasn't enough years, but I've really, really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed all the committees that I've served on, and like Harold, I do have one that I'm most proud of, and that would be the Network 180 Board. This board serves our most underprivileged citizens of the county, the developmentally disabled, the mentally ill, seriously mentally ill, and people with substance abuse issues. And I hope that this board in January will find good commissioners to sit on that board. I'm leaving as the chair effective December 31st. Commissioner Bolema, who's been a fixture on that board pretty much forever, is also leaving, so I think it's really important that two good commissioners who are willing to put the time and energy and effort into it get appointed right away at that January meeting, and then there might be another opening at the end of March. I'm also very proud that I've always remained positive in all of my campaigns and as a board member. I've always been very honest with my colleagues. I've never said one thing and then done another thing, and my campaigns have always been positive. I've never attacked and never would attack any of my opponents, even though I was counseled, my first election I was counseled that I needed to attack, and I was also counseled that I needed to strike back this year when I was attacked. During the election, I said that I'd rather lose the election than lose my principles by going negative. It's really easy to say that during an election. And since the election, I am very happy that I still feel that way. Had I gone negative and won, I would have felt guilty, and because I would have given up my principles. Had I gone negative and lost, still lost, I would have blamed it on the going negative. So I think it's real important to keep your principles and your morals, and I think that should be the guiding light for everyone on the board, is to do what they believe is right and principled, not what they think is expedient or politically motivated. So I do want to thank everyone on the board as well. It's been a pleasure serving with all of you. It was also a pleasure serving with Commissioner Korndike, who's not here, former Commissioner Korndike. He was somewhat of a mentor, and he has been missed these past 2 years. So thank you.
Next up, Dave Moran. I'm going to start reading this now, Dave. Commissioner David J. Moran will be leaving the board as Commissioner expiration of his present term of office, and Commissioner Moran took office as a Kent County Commissioner representing District 6, later changed to District 10, to serve the people of Kent County faithfully for 14 years. Commissioner Moran served the constituents with dedication and commitment while serving on both the Legislative and Human Services Committee and the Finance and Physical Resources Committee, serving as Vice Chair of the Finance Committee for 2 years and then Chair for 4 years. Commissioner Moran holds the distinction of serving as Chair of the Board of Commissioners from 2003 through 2005 and Vice Chair from 2000 through 2002. And Commissioner Moran was a driving force behind the continued development of Millennium Park and the new Department of Human Services, the DHS building in the Kent County, working with both local leaders, state legislators, and DHS staff to reach an agreement. This building is now a reality, with completion expected to be in June of 2009. Commissioner Moran tirelessly worked on many other committees during his tenure. Some included both the Pension Board, Public Works Board, Greater Grand Rapids Convention and Visitors Bureau, and the Grand Rapids Metropolitan Council. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Kent County Board of Commissioners hereby acknowledges Commissioner Moran's contribution to the cause of local government and his dedication of public service. Be it further resolved that we reluctantly bid Commissioner Moran farewell and wish him much happiness and success in his future endeavors. Be it further resolved that a copy of this proclamation be given to Commissioner Moran as a small token of our esteem and gratitude.
Well, there's one difference between Commissioner Klein and myself, and that was I would just take the mic. So I wouldn't wait for Raj. So here it is, 14 years. The worst part of this whole deal is I think it's the longest, I've told people today it's the longest lame duck session I think that there could be. And if there's anything bad about it, I think it's that. So, but it's over, and that's a good thing. I'm going to open my comments like I've opened every single meeting as when I had the opportunity and the privilege to serve as chair of whatever that it was a privilege to serve and an honor to serve. And I hope all of you that are remaining take that to heart, because it is a privilege. And never forget that, and never take that for granted. So, you know, doing this public official thing, an elected official, I think it's one of the greatest things. that I've done. And the thrill of winning an election really, to some degree, goes unparalleled. And the defeat, the agony of the defeat really goes unparalleled because it's a public thing, and it's not easy, but it's okay. And I think I'm a better person because of that. 14 years have gone by, and I've seen a lot of change on this board. I've seen campaigns change. I've seen staff changed. I came here when there was not a permanent, really, administrator. The former administrator, Dick Platty, had just passed away. And Melinda came on board, and then Darrell. And from my perspective, having worked extremely closely as chair with Darrell for 3 years, our county is blessed to have Darrell. And I hope he continues to stay here and use his leadership. I can't go beyond that with all the staff because I'm sure I would miss somebody. But I came here thinking I knew it all as a young guy, and I came here realizing I really didn't know anything at all. And I was thinking here that government needed a reform, and maybe it does, but I don't think Kent County needs a lot of reform. It's operated efficiently, it's operated effectively, it's operated with dedicated people, it's operated with policies and procedures I think, bar none, are outstanding, a lot of which I've used in my own life and my own business. So I think that's just been a great thing. I've seen relationships change over the years. I've seen board members come and go, a lot of them actually in 14 years. I'm leaving with 6 others, and we'll probably be missed for a little while, but the board moves on and life moves on, and that's okay too. I've seen the county's role change. I came here and the county was really a non-player in the community, and really basically the West Michigan community. I've seen that change to the fact where the county is the player in West Michigan and the player where everybody is coming, and it's because we have money. And quite frankly, we've had a lot of money. And with that comes a tremendous responsibility. And I think we have been very good fiduciaries of that. My challenge to the upcoming boards is that we remain that way because it's a privilege, again, to have the resources to do great things for our community. And I hope and pray that you use the wisdom to continue to use those resources as effectively as possible. So I thank my constituents for 14 years. I thank the staff here. I thank all of you and those that have been before you. You have all impacted me in many ways, some good, some bad, but I think at the end of the day it's probably all good. I ask for forgiveness for any of you that I've offended over the years. I can be pretty forthright with my opinions and my comments, and if I've offended you, I apologize for that. But I do respect all of you. And as I've always taught my kids, and I teach them at an early age, what is a legacy? I don't think it's about, I'm not talking about what I've done or what I've accomplished. Hopefully the legacy is how I've conducted myself, how I've treated you, and how you go out. And I have a mentor that once told me, it's easy to go up, but it's tough coming down. And that's true in all of life. And hopefully I've come down graciously and respectfully. So with that, I continue to have hope for the future. I hope all of you do. I don't think we hear enough of that today. I have hope. I have hope in each one of you. I have hope in Kent County and West Michigan. I think our best times are still ahead of us. And God's blessings on all of you in this Christmas season. Thank you.
Next up to graduate, Paul Mayhew.
Lord help.
Commissioner Mayhew. Commissioner Paul Mayhew was sworn into office as a Kent County Commissioner for the 17th District on January 3rd, 1989, later changed to District 16 in 2003, and will be leaving the Board of Commissioners at the end of his present term of office. During his tenure on the County Commission, Commissioner Mayhew served as the former Legislative and Judicial Taxation Committee, the Building and Parks and Transportation Committee, the Legislative and Human Resources Committee, and the John Ball Advisory Board. After serving the people of Kent County for 11 years, Commissioner Mayhew left office on June 24, 1999, to pursue his candidacy for mayor of the city of Grand Rapids. Commissioner Mayhew was reelected as the 17th District County Commissioner and was sworn into office on January 2nd, 2001. He served his constituents while serving on the Legislative and Human Resources Committee, the Remonumentation Committee, and the Justice Task Force, which I served with him, and most recently the Veterans Affairs Subcommittee. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Kent County Board of Commissioners gratefully acknowledges and thanks Commissioner Mayhew for his devotion and years of service to the citizens of Kent County, especially for his passion for minority contractors. Be it further resolved that we reluctantly bid Commissioner Mayhew farewell and wish him the best in the future. And be it further resolved, a copy of this proclamation be given to Commissioner Mayhew to appropriately commemorate his long-time service as a county commissioner.
Oh, my goodness. I got my son here and my wife here, and I just thank them as well. They've had to deal with this for, well, 20 years as an elected official and 30 years as a... Oh, my son was a year old, yeah, and I was sitting over here. So, you know, I just want to thank God for being here. You know, it's, you know, I believe that the Lord has things planned for people, and I think that, you know, and that kind of drives me into what I wanted to let you know, that I will be getting ordained this Sunday at my church at Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church. And you all are welcome to come. It's at 60 Dennis Street at 6:30 in the evening, so you're welcome to be there. You know, it's been a great run. I think I've been instrumental in doing quite a few things in this community from this particular bully pulpit. And I call it my bully pulpit because, you know, I had to use something to get issues of our communities out so that we could pull things together in this area. You know, I ran as a write-in candidate way back in long time ago to let this community know that it needed some minority representation and needed minorities and diverse opinions on this particular board. So I ran a write-in campaign for city commission way back in the long, about over 20-something years ago to make that statement. So here we are. You know, we do have in various halls in this particular edifice minority representation on boards, and we just had DHS. We finally got to minority representation there, and we got minority representation that's going to be on the road commission. And so, and then we've got the veterans. Committee that I'm very proud of. I'm a Vietnam era vet that was in Brooke Medical Center during my tenure because I had messed up knees and saw then how Vietnam veterans were coming back from the war and how some of us felt and how some of us were treated at that time. And I didn't go into the war zone, but it became a passion. It became a passion to work for veterans. Let me move away from that veteran stuff. But anyway, the mental health parity also is another passion of mine. The veteran stuff kind of gets to me because of what I've seen. The workforce development project that we put together to deal with minority contractors was really good, and in fact that it brought to light the need to collaborate with minority contractors and other people in this community about construction projects and stuff like that. So we began that process. I don't foresee us really dropping that particular group. Somebody has to pick up the ball for that particular group. It's a great group where we got union leaders and majority people contractors that we finally, and minority contractors that we brought together in the same room, which all of them had differences. And I call it my committee of oil, water, and gasoline, because it was a committee that could explode at any point in time. So I was very proud of that group, and I hope that that continues, that we continue to work with groups like that to make sure that contracting in this county, because we are the bully in the pulpit when it comes to finances and money and doing development projects. So if we're the bully in the pulpit, we should be able to make it right for the contractors. There's other things that I've done, such as that I've been involved in, such as the Police Chiefs Advisory Committee. That's a city thing. And Police Chiefs Review Board, you know, that's a city thing, but it's all help in terms of dealing with our county situation, our county jail. And then finally, I'm going to say that, you know, I was proud that we put together this bipartisan committee, you know, for the veterans, as well as we put together a bipartisan committee to put the mental health unit in the Kent County Jail. And I'm very proud of that because I know the need. So, and thank you. And I'm just going to still be around, and God knows best.
Next up to graduate is Commissioner Hiddema with 22 years of service. At the expiration of his present term of office, longtime serving Commissioner Marv Hiddema will be leaving the Board of Commissioners, and Commissioner Hiddema was sworn to office on January 2nd, 1987, and has wholeheartedly served the citizens of Kent County with dignity and pride over the past 22 years. During his years as a Kent County Commissioner, Commissioner Hiddema served on various standing committees, which included the Personnel and Safety and Social Services Committee, the Legislative, Judicial, and Taxation Committee, the Board of these committees aren't even around anymore. The Board of Institutions and the Legislative and the Legislative and Human Resources Committee. He holds the distinction of serving as chair of the Legislative, Judicial, and Taxation Committee in 1989, chair of the Personnel, Safety, and Social Services Committee in 1990 and 91, and the Legislative and Human Resources Committee as vice chair in 1995 and as chair in 1997 and 1998. Commissioner Hiddema also committed his time and talents while serving on several boards and committees, including the West Michigan Health Systems Agency, the West Michigan Regional Planning Hotel Motel Tax Committee, the Gretz Policy Committee, Deferred Compensation Committee, the Remonumentation Committee, Kent Community Hospital, Board of Trustees, the Aeronautics Board, Area Aging and Advisory Council, Region 8, the Senior Millage Review Committee, to name a few. Now be it resolved that the Kent County Board of Commissioners hereby recognize Commissioner Hiddema's ability, zeal, and oh so wise counsel, and gratefully acknowledges his commitment to the citizens of Kent County throughout the years, and thank him for his contributions and years of service in local government. Be it further resolved that we reluctantly bid Commissioner Hiddema farewell and wish him happiness for the years to come. Be it further resolved, a copy of this proclamation be given to Commissioner Hiddema as a small token of respect, admiration, gratitude that is granted to him, which he most deserves.
Yes.
This is a rather strange situation. In April, when I told you that I was not going to run again, I thought, boy, I'm going to have a party all by myself when I leave. You people proceeded to a couple of elections, and now I got to share it with 6 or 7 other people. Just can't get your moment in glory. You can't get together with my siblings occasionally, and we go out and have breakfast. I'm the youngest one there, and I'm 79. My 92-year-old sister-in-law gave us some wall hangings, and one of them said, "Faith, family, and friends." I think it pretty well summarized how I feel about life. My commitment to Christ came early. I have lived a life of faith. I have tried to, After high school, I went to Bible school, got some theological training. I spent 28 years as a pastor of a small rural church. At the same time, I continued my education and started in teaching, had a career in education for 32 years. Now I've had a career, after I retired from that, I've had a career in this of 22 years. And I'm looking for possibilities for next year. Faith thing kept me going at first, and I had the small rural church where I pastored, and I met some good people there. My family's meant a lot to me. My father, mother, and my lovely wife, my children, my grandchildren, my great-grandchildren. Until you've been a great-grandparent, you really don't quite understand that policy either. But I appreciate the faith and the family, and I appreciate friends. I was invited, well, a year ago, to the 50th high school graduation party of students I had had 50 years before. And I was invited to another one this fall. And I suppose in the coming years I'll do that again. It's a great experience. These are real friends. You people have friends. You mentioned a few of the people that you know and some of the people that you don't remember. I remember when we used a bulldozer to open the energy routine over there with the garbage. Amazing. And our chairman of the board at that time ran the bulldozer. I thought, wow, that's right. I still have a shovel in the basement, nice chrome-plated shovel. And I can't use it because when I put a shovel in my hand, it tickles and I start laughing. So I just leave it right there. I've had, you people are classified as my friends. And one of the best friends I've had in the county here has been Jim Day.
Yeah.
Jack, you know you're up next with 24 years.
He's been a little impatient.
Commissioner Jack D. Bullema will be leaving the board at the expiration of his present term, and Commissioner Bullema took office as a Kent County Commissioner representing District 9 on January 2nd, 1985, later changed to District 8, and has loyally served the citizens of Kent County for 24 years. Commissioner Bullema steadfastly served his constituents as a member of the following standing committees: the Building and Parks Transportation Committee, the Personnel Safety and Social Services Committee, the Legislative and Human Resources Committee, the Finance and Fiscal Resource Committee, and Commissioner Bullema had served tirelessly on the Community Mental Health Board for 14 years during his tenure, and also served on the Board of Public Works, the Board of Health, and the John Ball Advisory Board and Community Health Advisory Committee. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Kent County Board of Commissioners recognizes Commissioner Bullema's great contribution to local government and his wonderful passion for children and prevention services, acknowledging the respect he has from the constituents and fellow commissioners for his integrity, dedication, and his steadfast service to the county. Now, be it further resolved, we reluctantly bid Commissioner Bullema farewell and wish him happiness and success in his future endeavors. Be it further resolved, a copy of this proclamation be given to Commissioner Bullema for a small token of the esteem and gratitude we have for him.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Morgan has never had so many kind words to me as he has had this morning. We do appreciate that, and I could talk forever. I even wrote out a little speech. Don't worry, I'm not going to give you the whole thing because I timed it last night. It runs for 7.5 minutes. So we'll back off on that one. But it's been just such a wonderful trip, and I do not say that superficially. As I said at our at our commissioners' dinner a few weeks ago, the best thing that happened to me as far as my professional life was concerned, of course, was teaching middle school kids for 35 years. But what came a close second, of course, was this. It's just so wonderful to be involved in county government. Government, any level, is a significant trust and a significant responsibility, and we have to treat it with integrity. And I've been so extremely pleased at doing that, and no, I don't want to leave either. but when Providence decrees otherwise, you follow suit. I do have another interest, which you'll be hearing about in public print probably within a week, which will be taking a whole lot of my time in the future, and it makes a nice interest to me to pursue, because I do think we should all be committed to public service for as much as we are able to do that. Just a little bit about Kent County government, the reason it is so very special. May I just say that I've always been fascinated with what we call politics and service in government. I taught about in the schools. I never dreamed that I would have the privilege of being involved in it, but when that came along, I went for it in the best way. And I wondered a little bit, you know, what is the political structure all about? There's a lot that's said about dirty politics and intrigue and smoke-filled rooms and such. But it didn't take long after being involved in county government here, I found out that's really not what happens here. Somehow we were able to hold the bar up in Kent County. And I really always appreciated that. It was just a routine thing whereby when my colleagues operated, they spoke and operated with principle. They were committed to a greater public good. They rightfully claimed their own accomplishments at election time while refraining from demeaning their colleagues' character and integrity in public speech or print. And I realized that that was really very, very special. As a matter of fact, a little story, if I may. Some years ago, wife Nate and I went to a NACO convention. And I don't recall which state it was in, but it was about lunchtime. I was moving around through the air, through the community of people there, picked up my lunch at the big table, and I saw some other tables about that were empty, so I just joined a gentleman who was by himself, and we started a little conversation, and he told me that his district is in downtown Detroit. And he started telling me about downtown Detroit and big city politics. And I thought, wow, we don't do that in Kent County. The kinds of things he described as the norm down there are not the operational norm over here. So I finally said to him, I says, you know, in Kent County, we don't do that. I said, we hold the bar higher. We operate with integrity. And our commissioners are all dedicated to a greater public service. And he put his food down, he looked at me, and he laughed right out loud. He said, no elected body goes like that. It doesn't operate that way. I says, well, the one in Kent County does. And I've always I did my best to hold that standard up. And I felt that the commissioners we were working with also did their very best to hold that standard up. I think it was a very, very important principle. In all confidence to my Democratic colleagues, we were disappointed this year, and Commissioner Klein made reference to that, to the negative publications that came out, which really were distortions, which it did degrade our character. And when you run a real close election, it makes a difference in the outcome. But getting above and beyond that, I just want to say that it's very important to this commission. And my charge would be to hold the bar up, not only now, but in the future, for the good governing of this county. Thank you.
Jack, get your gift. I don't know if I mentioned, I can't even remember, but we're losing about 128 years of service here. And last but not least is Commissioner Wallfield. 34 years. There's going to be some committees in here that I didn't even know existed.
We take an intermission halfway through.
I'm trying to move this along. I told Jack Bollema I was going to try and move this along. So, Commissioner Fritz Wallfield will be leaving the Board of Commissioners with the expiration of his present term in office. Commissioner Wallfield took office as a Kent County Commissioner representing District 2 on January 2nd, 1975. Later changed to District 10 and then back to 2, and has served the people of Kent County faithfully for 34 years. Commissioner Wallfield served his constituents with dedication as chair of the Buildings and Parks and Transportation Committees for 10 out of his 13 years as a member of that committee. He also served the following standing committees: Personnel, Safety, and Social Services Committee, Legislative and Human Services Committee, and the Finance and Fiscal Resources Committee. Commissioner Wallfield served with distinction for 30 years on the Kent County Fire Commission, 16 years as a stalwart member of the Kent County Pension Board, and also a member of the Soil Erosion and Sedimentation Control Board and the Remonumentation Committee. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Kent County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes Commissioner Wallfield's many years of service to the Kent County Commission and his dedication and commitment to the citizens of Kent County. Be it further resolved, we reluctantly bid Commissioner Wallfield farewell and wish him happiness in the future. Be it further resolved, a copy of this proclamation to be given to Commissioner Wallfield as a small token of respect.
This won't take long. Before I start, I'd like to acknowledge my family that came today. Can you stand up? Here in the back, they're already standing. So, but anyway, when they were arguing about the pay plan this morning, came to mind when I got on this board. It paid $7,000 a year. Now I guess it pays 20. I'm not sure what it pays, but we're arguing about a few pennies. But I wonder how many commissioners would be here today with $7,000 a year salary. But anyway, last night I got thinking of some of the projects that I was involved with, and I appreciate being in all these projects, and I won't read them all. But really, my first project was the 63rd District Court in Rockford. And here we are, we got another one. You outlive these things. It is. And we had the Migrant Center for the migrant workers in Sparta. The title building right across the street, I got wind of one day it was for sale. The county purchased that for $750,000. Imagine what it would cost today. And I think the phone people, the computer people use that building. We got a couple lots, thanks to Dave Moran, on the just on the other side of the freeway for a future county building someday. Won't be maybe in our lifetime, but it's there, isn't it, Dave? Many airport land purchases. And, of course, they supported the last addition, which will be a success. We was around for a couple of jail additions before the two round buildings were put up. We built an honor camp. I took the boys up, and we built the youth honor camp up in by Cooper Creek in North Kent County. And that was the compliments of Wallfield Construction for that. We didn't buy the lumber, the brick, but we furnished the labor. I was involved in a recycling building, the upgrade of Kaufman Golf Course, Johnson Park. We started the DARE program, community development. All these townships get this money. Ray Wackenall and I went we didn't go door to door, we went township to township to sign on to it. And I think that thing is since, it's got to be over 30 years old, that grant that we got. Now, besides that, I've been here so long that they just finished the third animal shelter. So I got to leave. 3 substations, and of course, Dave and the rest, most of you were involved in the Van Andel Arena and the cooperation with the city and the DeVos Hall. The parks, can't say enough about parks. Dave and had a hand in Wallfield Park. Let's see, in the pension board, I see Michelle was here this morning, thank you. And we're going to leave the pension board in good shape. We're down a little now, but we're not out, and she'll keep it running good. And thanks to the staff people, Daryl and everybody, Jim. And I guess what I got on my just want to remind you about the parks. Don't forget the parks. Last thing I wanted to say was I started with Mr. Brewer over there, and we'll end up with Raj over here. So I've been here that long, so thanks for the memories.
That concludes it.
Mr. Chairman, I got a miscellaneous. Okay. Didn't call for you, but I'm gonna do it. You know, we go through life, we make some decisions, we do some stuff that sometimes doesn't go so good with us, but this is good for you and good for the county. And this is the shovel that we use at the groundbreaking of the 63rd District Court. And we all know that there's times you'd like to use that shovel someplace else. But just want to give it to you as to hang in your barn to remember the good job you did. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under miscellaneous event today is a big event. It's our last meeting of the 2007-2008 Board of Commissioners. 2009 begins a new two-year commitment for our service to our county by a new board with new faces, with new challenges. Personally, I'll become the eldest serving on the commission, not the longest serving, just the eldest. And in fact, 2009, I'll be sworn in for my 7th and 8th year as a county commissioner and my 19th and 20th year of public service, of elected public service. But I've never been in a job more than 6 years, so it's a new venture for me coming up as well. But today I want to give special thanks to those that are leaving. It's been an honor to serve with such wonderful board of commissioners. I think I've really elevated from mayor, state rep, I've elevated to the county. That's where it's at. Fritz, you've been a friend. You've left a heritage, a legacy of the Wallfield name in Kent County as a family man, as a businessman, as a public servant. You're a gift giver. I had the honor with the Rotary Club to work at Wallfield Park. What a gift to our community. Fritz, you are a gift to our community. Thank you for your service. Marv, I grew up alongside Marv. Marv and Mert are pillars of the Granville area. Knew him as a Bible teacher and knew him as a friend and a mentor. And Marv, you know I hold high respect for you and for Mert and your family. I wish you God's speed of health and blessing as well. Jack, been a fellow Wyomingite from my years in the city council and mayor, and Jack has been a steady influence of good for Wyoming. And always headed up our schedules for meeting with the chamber, and for your work, Jack. Know how much you and I just appreciate you and know you're such great friends of our neighbors and how highly they speak of you as well. To Dave Moran, I remember when I came on, I said Dave was a little nervous, I think. Oh, this Maverick Voorhees is what's going to happen. And I said, Dave, you and I may not always agree on things, and I'll probably tell you how I feel if I don't agree. But I will not surprise you. And Dave, I hope I haven't. When I've had a difference, I've come to you and said, Dave, this is how I feel about it. This is what I'm going to say. And as I did this morning to our chair, that I had some words I wanted to say at the end of today's meeting. But it's been an honor to serve with you. You have a wonderful, beautiful family. You're a working businessman, yet you have given to this county dedicated hours of service, and you've been a real leader. And I just pray God's continued blessing upon you, your family, and your future. You have a good future. If there's a time to buy stock, buy it in stock. And Dave Moran. Harold Mast, I've had the honor to serve alongside. You have chosen a vocation of service. Throughout your life vocation, it's been in nonprofit entities where you have just been such an outstanding blessing. And as I came on the senior millage advisory committee, and to see your work in so many areas and in public service, and then to take the reins as president of the Michigan Association, you are a true mentor and a true leader. And Harold, it's been an honor to serve with you.
Thank you, Harold.
Paul, Paul gets ordained coming up. Paul, if somebody in the audience says that's not germane, it'll probably be David, but just ignore it. But if you hear it coming from God that that's not germane, then you better change.
I better think about it.
But it's been a joy to serve with you, too. I always appreciate your calls on issues and points, and it's been an honor to serve with you, and I'll continue to call you my friend, and
Thank you,
we'll
Harold.
work together for good. And to Nadine, your service, especially I've gotten to know you on Network 180 as our board chair, and you do such great dedicated service there. It's going to be, Network 180 is going to miss that, just as we miss yours. On that Network 180 board, we've been talking about diversity and how we need more representation of diversity at Network 180. We need it here on the board too, and I'm sorry to see another female gender leaving the board. We do need more diversity on our board, and so no, it's been an honor to serve with you, and I know we'll see Nadine Klein in service, so thank you. To the new members coming in, we'll say a welcome in another month. The voters have honored us and expect from us dedicated service and attendance to the work of decision-making in providing the services of Kent County government. As we proceed to select our board leadership, I pray it will be done in a manner bringing respect to this office and respect to each commissioner. A couple days ago, someone suggested I check out the Democratic Party blog on the internet regarding the changes proposed by a coalition of now 8 Democratic members and 2 other commissioners elected as Republicans. I did, and was very surprised, and I'll admit I was quite disappointed. The disappointment portion, we're working through that, and time will tell. The surprise portion was I felt the disrespect for fellow commissioners that was stated there. The name at the top of this printout that I did says Brandon Dillon. I questioned in there several of the statements. Under that it says that it's by Phil Go Blue. I don't know who Phil Go Blue is, but it talks about some commissioners that are the libertarian township majority of the past. Libertarian, it's another philosophy of government thought, but do we put labels on people just for something maybe we disagree with? One commissioner states that decision-making long done in closed leadership meetings. If this is true, how long has this commissioner known this? And why wasn't this brought to the full board? At the end of every board meeting, we have on the agenda a time called miscellaneous. And any commissioner can speak on most any item, especially one of this importance. Another statement in there says, clearly on the outs are, and it lists some names. I don't know on the outs by whom or from whom. We are all elected to serve the residents of this county, and no one should be disrespected or considered to be out. Personally, I thought the funniest of all was the ending of the sentence, calling me Cabana Boy Voorhees from Wyoming. At the healthy age of 70, if you get called a boy, I guess you take it as a compliment. I'm not sure if that's what it was meant to be. Cabana boy, as I sought out in the past, was usually a young man who would serve as a servant to the residents of a hotel or a resort. Well, Kent County has many great hotels, and many of our homes are resorts after a hard day's work, right? I'm proud to be a public servant. a Cabana boy, to the residents of Kent County, and hope to do for many years to come. But I do pray, and I do hope, as we look forward to working together, we will do it with respect, with courtesy, and with professionalism, unlike this Democratic bloc. Thank you.
Any other miscellaneous? Commissioner Klein.
Thank you. I forgot to mention the most important person in my speech, right, my graduation speech, and that'd be my husband, Greg Klein. He's here today, and without him, I would never have been able to do any of this. So if he would stand up.
You do forget things when you're up there, that's why. Miscellaneous. Commissioner Bolema.
Thank you, Roger. Same comment. Very privileged to have my lovely wife Nada sitting there in the fourth row. She has joined me this morning.
My wife standing next to her.
I'm hurt. Commissioner Parrish.
Well, I don't normally speak at this time, and I think I'm going to miss all the departing commissioners, and find myself really quite emotional about it this morning, and that's unusual for me as well. But I want to in particular thank Nadine. Nadine joined the JCs my last day of being president of the JCs in 1991. And I didn't know who she was. I just found out that she had joined like literally in the final hours of an entire year being JC president. And felt like during the time that she was involved in the Grand Rapids JCs and the Michigan JCs, I mentored her. And it was a very wonderful experience to be mentored by her the last 2 years and to be able to return the favor. And so I really appreciate the time and energy that she's taken just to sort of take my hand and help me show me where the coffee was, because that was the first thing I needed to learn. And I'm very disappointed going forward. I look forward to serving with Commissioner Hennessy as the Women's Caucus. Women's Caucus is now when Carol and I have coffee, that's the Women's Coffee, the Women's Caucus. But we really do need to work. And losing Paul, we're losing half of our minority caucus. And we really do need to encourage going forward the inclusion of all of our citizens in government and the inclusion of everybody, women, minorities, to ensure that we make the best decisions as we go forward. So I'm going to miss all of you. Nadine, thank you so much.
Commissioner Rolls.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to echo similar sentiments. It's just been a privilege serving with those 6 commissioners that'll be leaving, and just a special thank you for Commissioner Moran for his leadership over the years and his mentoring for me on this board, and all 6 of you will truly be missed. It's been a privilege serving with you. Thank you.
Commissioner Mayhew.
Yeah, I just want to, thank my Democratic colleagues for coming together. When we finally got 5 Democrats, we were able to put a little caucus together, and I just want to say appreciate it to them for, heeding to my call to have a meeting with them. And we sit down, we talked, we discussed issues. Even greater than that, just as great as that is, some of the board chairs, Roger, Dave, Steve Heacock. People out in the community don't really know how delicate this job is to get things done for people in the community. Because you got 19 people vying for their position, to try to get their thought across. And throughout the years that I've been here, irrespective of what I've done out there in that community, I've came up here, and it's been respectful up here. I've never had anybody say, anything to me about the stuff that I did for the city of Grand Rapids in terms of police work. But I appreciate you, Roger. I really do. I appreciate you, Moran. And Moran and I really almost like went to blows here, we really had it tough initially, but we found a common ground and we found a respect. It didn't go there. Steve Heacock and myself, we started out kind of that way too, and I guess people look at me and they think I'm that way. but I'm not that way. You know, I'm a fairly gentle soul. And so I appreciate the chairs that work, because we've been able to get a lot of things done, you know, for our community, you know, by working in the background. Appreciate Commissioner Vaughn. Commissioner Vaughn has been able to, you know, for some of my public positions, have been able to give me cover, you know, and support me in the background, you know, on some of those wild positions that I've taken.
He's a
You
pretty
have
good
to have
bodyguard.
cover. And so I just want to say I appreciate the chairs and the caucus, the Democratic caucus that we put together, and Commissioner Vaughn, and I appreciate all of you, you know, because, you know, this is how this works. I mean, being able to put together bipartisan groups to get things done, you know, was a joy to me, because everybody always thought I was such a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, you know, but being able to work across the board with Nadine, being able to work with Vonk here and the rest of the guys on that VEST committee, that was powerful for me, you know, being able to work that bipartisan. And then there's the whole parity thing. That's a whole bipartisan thing all the way up to the top of the national government, you know. So I appreciate being here.
And it took its toll on me, and you don't realize it till it's done, quite frankly. But Roger's done a great job, I think, being respectful to everybody. Sometimes, in my opinion, too respectful. But you know, those are how those things go. He's been very fair, probably more fair than I was, quite frankly. And I think that's who Roger is. He's just a solid person, a solid guy, total integrity. And I don't want to understate. He put it all on the line for Kent County this year, and directly in a district with leadership that he lives in, that he leads in. And I tell you, Raj, I totally respect you for you stood up, you did what was right, you continue to do what was right, and I will never, ever forget that, and I respect you totally for what you've gone through this year, for really providing an example of doing the best thing for Kent County, not necessarily your own career or your own district, and I respect you for that.
Commissioner Hiddema, this shovel shocked me when I grabbed it at 63rd District Court. It didn't tickle. So anyway, any more Commissioner miscellaneous? Commissioner Hennessy.
I've appreciated all that I've been able to learn over the last 2 years, my first term, from those of you who, you know, all of you on the board, and especially appreciate what I've been able to learn from the wisdom of some of you who've served here a long time. I've appreciated serving with all of you. Certainly, we've heard some expressions of some tensions to come, and I just thought, again, that I would just sort of renew the invocation that I started with today, that we make strong in our hearts that which unites us, build bridges across all that divides us, and united make us rejoice in our diversity. And I think all of those are appropriate sentiments as we end this year and as we go into the next. And I have one more thing. Do we have our Christmas wish list for this much-anticipated stimulus package for the new year? I hope we're preparing our wish list here.
Yeah.
We sent it in.
Oh, good.
Any other miscellaneous? I call on Commissioner Hennessy to adjourn.
Call me back when I call.
I move that we adjourn, subject to the call of the chair, and to Tuesday, January 6, 2009, at 8:30 a.m. for an official meeting. Support.
No motion support. We're adjourned with the departing 7 commissioners that graduated today. We need a picture around the cake.